Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 6, canto 6, chapter 6, verse number 1. We begin a new chapter today. Chapter 6, the progeny of the daughters of Daksha. Shri Shukavacha Tata Prachetaso Siknya Anunitaha Swayambhuva Shashtim Sanjanayamasa Duhitraha Pitrirvatsalaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, "My dear king, thereafter, at the request of Lord Brahma, Prajapati Daksha, who is known as Prachetasa, begot 60 daughters in the womb of his wife Asikni. All the daughters were very affectionate towards their father." Purport. After the incidents concerning the loss of his many sons, Daksha repented his misunderstanding with Narad Muni. Lord Brahma then saw Daksha and instructed him to beget children again. This time Daksha was very cautious to beget female children instead of male children, so that Narad Muni would not disturb them by urging them to accept the renounced order. Females are not meant for renounced order of life. They should be faithful to their good husbands. For if a husband is competent for liberation, his wife will also achieve liberation with him. As stated in the Shastra, the results of a husband's pious activities are shared by his wife. Therefore, a woman's duty is to be very chaste and faithful to her husband. Then, without separate endeavor, she will share in all the profit the husband earns. So this chapter, the progeny of the daughters of Daksha. So in the previous chapter, we saw how Daksha becomes very angry with Narad Muni for having made all his 60,000 children, 10,000 plus 1,000, 11,000 children renounce the materialistic life and take up the way for preparing to go back to the spiritual world. He was not happy with it because he wanted that these children take up the task that he had given them, that is to populate the whole world with progeny. That is what Daksha had received the order from the Supreme Personality, from Brahma, and for that purpose he had so many sons, and all of them decided that they will not enter the Grihastha ashram and they'll prepare to go back to the spiritual world. And then we saw that how Narad Muni came, and when he changed their minds, Daksha becomes very angry and Daksha curses Narad Muni. And Narad Muni, we saw his qualities in the last class, how Narad Muni was very, very tolerant. He simply kept quiet. He silently tolerated the curse of Daksha, although Daksha was wrong, because Narad had done a great service to Daksha and Daksha's children. And the father will also get benefited if the children take to Krishna consciousness. And Narad Muni stayed back because he because he felt that Daksha will be relieved of all the anger if he speaks all these things. So he very patiently tolerated, silently waited, and to the curse also he said, yes, I accept the curse and it is good. So we saw these wonderful qualities in Narad Muni, how he was so silent, so tolerant, so patient. And in spite of all these things, Narada is still thinking how to deliver even Daksha. That was his thinking. So now after that whole incident is over, Daksha has repented. So repentance is a very, very important thing in spiritual life. All of us commit mistakes, but after committing mistake, if a genuine repentant feeling is there in the heart, then Krishna will reveal himself, then Krishna will reciprocate. This goes for anything, any mistakes we do. Even in the material platform, for a devotee on the spiritual platform, it's even more important. We all commit mistakes. To err is human. But after mistakes, if we feel repentant, in the heart ask for forgiveness, pray to the Supreme Lord, I came under the influence of the three modes of material nature. We have not yet controlled our minds. So this repentance feeling in the heart is the sign of sincerity. It's a sign of that this candidate is serious because he's repenting genuinely. So Narad Muni stayed back so that when Daksha speaks all these things, later on he will repent because he would have said so many things. And that is what happened. And we see also in the scriptures, Narada's another disciple, Mrigari, when Mrigari was half killing animal, and when Narada was speaking to Mrigari about how sinful this is, Mrigari also genuinely repented in his heart. He said, I didn't know, now that you're telling me, I am feeling repentant, so please tell me how to come over this. And that is another story. So that is one point that is important as devotees. We should always feel repentant for all the wrongs that we have done. Generally what happens is that when we do something wrong, at that moment we will not realize it. We will do it, coming under the force of the modes of passion and ignorance. We will do it. But later on we all realize, this was a mistake. So when we realize, doing wrong is not a mistake or not a problem, but holding on to that thing that was wrongly done and still contemplating on it that yes, I was right and it should have been like this, that is a bigger mistake than the mistake that we do. The mistake that we do, we are helpless under the influence of the modes of material nature. But later on, we should quickly realize, correct ourselves, repent, ask for forgiveness. These are the things that a devotee should be thinking, and this is actually advancement in spiritual life. That this devotee is so conscious that always he is reflecting on his actions and he feels repentant and he acts accordingly. Either goes and asks for forgiveness or tries to settle the matter like that, asking forgiveness. So here in this chapter, the progeny of daughters of Daksha. So now Daksha has to populate the entire surface of the earth with progeny. So now he has stopped, and now he cannot stop that. So now Brahma comes, and then Brahma is advising him, and that you have to continue with with your service of populating the surface of the earth with progeny, with population. So at the request of Lord Brahma, Prajapati Daksha, who is known as Pracheta, begot 60 daughters. So this time he gets 60 daughters, no children, because he was afraid that no male child, because he was afraid that if I get a male child, then Narad Muni will once again convert them. So Lord Brahma then saw Daksha and instructed him to beget children again, and this time Daksha was very cautious to beget female children instead of male children, so that he would not disturb them and he would not urge them to accept the renounced order. So here Prabhupada is writing that male men can accept the renounced order, because that is what is ordained in the scriptures, giving up everything. And not just giving up everything. When you give up everything, you have to take to something, because you cannot be without anything. So when you give up all materialistic life, you fully focus on Krishna, giving up one and accepting other, so that you are always full. We cannot be empty in our minds. So men can take sannyas, men can take the renounced order of life by accepting Krishna as the heart and soul. But for women, of course, they also accept Krishna as the heart and soul. But for women, it is stated that women are not meant for renounced order of life. So women must serve the husband very faithfully. And this is what, so a woman's duty is to be very chaste and faithful to her husband. For women, renounced order of life, women do not accept the renounced order of life. So this is as per the Vedic tradition. And Prabhupada is writing here that if a woman is very chaste, chaste woman means that she is serving the husband and she knows no other service except service of the husband, because husband is her master, pati. And what is the relationship between the servant and the master? The servant must serve the master and serve no one else. So similarly for the woman, her chastity is serving the master and no one else. And if she does this, then the result is mentioned here. Therefore, a woman's duty is to be very chaste and faithful to her husband. And a woman shares a profit of the results of her husband's good activities. And so here Prabhupada is mentioning that if a husband is competent for liberation, his wife will also achieve liberation with him. So it's such a wonderful thing and such a wonderful arrangement by the Lord. The husband is serving the Supreme Lord. Woman is also serving the Lord, but she is serving the husband who is serving the Lord. So the woman gets, the husband goes back to Godhead, the woman also goes back to Godhead because of her chastity and faithful service of the husband. So Prabhupada is talking about this thing here, about chastity. They should be faithful to their good husbands and things like that. And woman's duty is to be very chaste and faithful. And in our scriptures also we see so many examples, so many stories where we see how a woman, all the devotees that we have in our scriptures, all this pastimes that we have read of, so many devotees, everywhere this chastity is very much emphasized, because when a woman is chaste, then there will be good progeny and the whole society will be happy. There will be good progeny. Prabhupada writes one story about chastity of woman in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and this story Prabhupada writes in the purport, it's a very a story from which to learn about the chastity of women. And the story comes in 3 places, in the Markandeya Purana, in the Padma Purana, and in one more Purana, Aditya Purana or something like that. So this is a story about a Brahmana who had, about the son of a Brahmana, so he was a Brahmana. He had developed some sinful desires. So this Brahmana, he was suffering from leprosy. But the woman was very chaste, the wife was very chaste, and she was serving him very nicely. And then this leper Brahmana, he developed a desire, sinful desire, that he wants to enjoy with a prostitute. And he somehow said this to his wife. Now the wife's duty, this is an example, an extreme story to show how chaste a wife can be. So this wife was very chaste. Chastity means to serve the husband. So because the husband developed this desire, so she thought, okay, I should satisfy his desire. So she goes to that prostitute and she starts serving her very humbly, just to draw the attention of that prostitute. And then when she was serving, this wife was serving that lady, so she asked, "You're serving me very nicely, what is the matter?" And then this wife says that, "I have a husband like this, somehow he has developed this desire, I am his wife, so can you please associate with him for one day, satisfy him." So the prostitute was moved. They know how chaste this wife is, that she's coming and doing menial service to me just to satisfy the husband's these desires. So the prostitute agreed, "Yes, I will satisfy you and your husband's desire." So the lady goes back to the husband and says, "She has agreed, and you can come with me. I'll take you there." And so the husband is going with the wife, and on the way he realizes, "My God, how sinful, how fallen I have become. And my wife is so chaste and so faithful to me that I developed this desire, and she didn't mind satisfying me for this desire. She's trying to satisfy even this desire of mine. And for that she accepted a humble position of going and becoming the maidservant of the prostitute." So it dawned upon him. Krishna gave him some intelligence, and then he gives up that desire. He becomes rectified. You see how by the chastity of the woman, the man gets cleansed. He gets purified. And so he doesn't go, so then they are returning back, and another incident happened, which is yet another story to prove how chaste, what happens when women are very chaste. It is said that when women are very chaste, they become very powerful, very strong internally, and their words have meaning. So they were returning back, the wife is they were returning back to their home, and accidentally on their way back, this person, this leper-stricken Brahmin husband, he accidentally touched Markandeya Rishi on the way. The Rishi was there, he was passing by. Now because he was a leper, Markandeya Rishi becomes angry, and Markandeya Rishi curses him, leper Brahmana, that you will die at sunrise tomorrow. So the wife couldn't take it because he's her husband. So the wife took a vow that I will stop the sunrise tomorrow. Just look at the vow. Because the husband will die. That's the curse of Markandeya Rishi. So now because the wife was so determined to serve the husband, my husband cannot leave me, I must serve him. And she took such a vow that, it was a strong determination. So seeing this strong determination and her faith and her chastity of serving the husband, all the three personalities, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, appears in that place. And they bless the wife, that lady. They are very happy. They are seeing that, her chastity and her faith is so strong. And they bless her, and they give her two blessings. One is that your husband's leprosy, he'll be cured of his leprosy. And second, because Markandeya Rishi's curse has to come through, the Rishi's curse cannot go back. He will come back to life. So these are the strong examples given in the scriptures. And then Prabhupada, after narrating the story, he says, so just like for a woman, his master is the husband. So there's no question of serving anyone else, and not just serving anyone else, that's a bigger thing, with full focus serving the husband. In the same way, for a devotee, our master is who? Master is Krishna. He's our Pati, Pranapati. He's everything for us. He's our life and soul. So in the same way, a devotee's chastity, we also should be very chaste. Chastity is not just for the woman, chastity is for everyone. So what is our chastity? Our chastity is, come what may, I cannot give up Krishna consciousness. I cannot take to materialism. I cannot take to material life. I must be fully surrendered to Krishna, because Krishna is everything. Shukdev Goswami, we hear in that prayer, he says a very nice prayer. What kind of a pati master Krishna is? Shriya pati, yagna pati, prajapatir, dhyam patir, lokapatir, dhara patir, patir gatish. So Krishna is the master of everything. He's my master, he's everything's master. He's the master of everything that is created, because everything is coming from Krishna. So I must be fully surrendered to Krishna. That is why Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Ekam, only, just like for the wife, only the husband. So similarly for devotees, mam ekam sharanam vraja and sarva dharman parityajya. That is what Krishna is saying. In that story of Indra Yagna being stopped by Krishna, we all know that story. There are many things that we learn from the story. What are the things that we learn? One is how Krishna, Indra's pride had gone beyond limit, and Krishna wanted to curb down the pride of Indra. That's one of the main lessons we learn from that story. And Prabhupada writes in that Krishna book, in the Krishna books, he says another very important thing we learn from that Krishna book, from that Indra story. Krishna wanted to teach the residents of Vrindavan and to everyone that one should be exclusively devoted to Krishna only and to no one else. Exclusive. Prabhupada writes, Krishna wanted to firmly establish exclusive devotion to Krishna. So you see how nice it is. And when you have only, that's why it says, Tasmad ekena manasa, Bhagavan satvatam pati, Shrotavya kirtitavyascha, Dheya pujaschcha nityada. Tasmad ekena manasa. We have only one thing. We don't have two things. Only one thing, only Krishna. That's all. Two things means divided. One thing means Krishna. Then the full heart and soul and feelings can be aroused nicely. And for that there is a path. Through the spiritual master, Guru, Gauranga, Krishna, it's all one. So similarly, just like we hear this, unchaste wife means a prostitute. So Prabhupada writes in the Nectar of Instruction, there is another prostitute. That is the unchaste tongue. Because wife means service of the husband. So similarly, tongue means service of the master. Who is the master? Master is Krishna. So tongue serving the master is either chanting Hare Krishna, speaking about Krishna, or tasting Krishna prasadam. So if the tongue is doing anything outside this Prabhupada writes, it's like a prostitute. It's called unchaste tongue. That is why Prabhupada says chanting must be done incessantly, or any service must be done. Our focus should be only Krishna. And if the tongue is doing something else than serving Krishna, then what will happen? We will meet death and enter into one of the lower species of life. Like Prabhupada gives an example, the frogs. In the rainy season, the frogs become very happy because it's rain, and so the frogs are very happy, and in that happiness, what do? They just croak. Kakadaka, kakadaka, like that. They go on croaking. But what is the use of that croaking? The snakes who are also nearby, the snakes will identify that yes, here is the frog because the sound is coming from there, and the snakes will go and eat the frog. The frog loses its life. So similarly, if we are also not chaste in terms of glorifying Krishna always, in terms of doing Krishna service because he is our pati, if we don't do that, then we are also going to lose our life. And this life is very important. Human form of life is the most durlabham manusham janma. It is very short and very rare. Just see how this human life, very short and very rare. You don't get it so easily. And after getting this thing which is not so easy to get, we must remember, and for a very short time I have gotten it. I'll not live for many years. Very rare, and quickly it will go away. So I should be very intelligent that in this short time I must be fully devoted to Krishna and nothing else. And there are so many reasons. The entire Bhagavad Gita, Krishna spoke to us to make us understand how He's everything. So we have all the reasons to be fully devoted. We should feel so happy being fully devoted to Krishna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, He is the ability in man. Paurusham Nishu. Balam balavatam chaham. We all think, I have got so much of strength. Where is the strength coming from? The strength is coming from Krishna. Buddhir buddhimatam asmi. We think, we feel very proud and, I have got so much of intelligence. Buddhi, where is it coming from? If you are very happy, if you are very proud of your buddhi, you must recognize Krishna. The buddhi is also coming from Krishna. Bala is coming from Krishna. Everything is coming from Krishna. So I have all the reasons to make Krishna, just like a wife has all the reasons to devote herself to the husband, because they're duly married. And marriage means the wife must serve the husband. So similarly, Krishna, just like the wife and husband are connected, we and Krishna are connected. Mama amsha jiva loka. We are all parts, like the woman is called the second half, the better half, right? So we are parts of Krishna. Mama jiva, mama amsha. Jiva Loka, we are all parts. So if we are parts, the part must serve the whole. Exclusively, no one else. In that 25 qualities of a devotee that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, one of the quality that he writes is of a devotee is Krishna Eka Sharana. Not Krishna Sharana. Krishna Eka Sharana. And Prabhupada writes that as exclusively surrendered to Krishna. So this should be our prayer. Krishna, I want to be exclusively surrendered to you. Krishna says in the Gita also, Matta Parataram Nanya, there is no truth higher than me. And we are all searching after the absolute truth, the highest truth. So like this, Prabhupada recalls one more story about when he was in Bombay in the year 1935 to 40s. In a lecture he recollects. So he says when he was walking down on the streets of Bombay, he saw on the road in one corner, there was a beggar sitting. And this beggar, his face was completely defaced. No eyes, couldn't blind, and fully defaced. So you can imagine how ugly he would be. But the wife was also there, and he would see, because Prabhupada would take a walk on that street every day, so he was observing it. The beggar was very neat and clean. And who would take care of his neatness and cleanliness? The wife. And every day the wife would come and drop her husband in that place and would take her back in the evening. So Prabhupada says, so he understood that the wife, he did not abandon her husband. Even though the husband was defaced and blind and practically, you can imagine, useless. But still the wife was chaste and the wife didn't leave the husband. So this is called chastity. Even in that, not chastity at all levels, from the poorest of the poor to the highest. We have all chaste Draupadi, Kunti Maharani, all, so many examples from the lowest to the highest. Chastity all around, always. So similarly, no matter what position we are in, what situation we are in, what circumstances we are in, only Krishna. I will never give up Krishna, come what may in my life. Prabhupada gives an example of that one bird. That bird, what is the name? Chataka bird. So that bird, it has a special quality from which we learn a lesson. The quality is it will drink water only if it falls from the sky. Because the sky water is the purest, fully distilled, and then it's falling. And the moment it falls on the surface, it will come in contact with some muddy surface and it will become unclear. So the Chataka bird, and it has vowed, we will not touch anything but the clear water. And it says, it is described that, suppose there is no rain, right? Not every time it rains. So the Chataka bird will die out of thirst and die out of starvation, then come down and drink the unclear, dirty water. It'll wait. That's why it waits like this. It waits for the mercy. It's at the mercy of the clouds because that's its determination. So similarly, this should be our determination. I am completely dependent on Krishna's mercy. If Krishna gives rain, sometimes the cloud will give not rain, the cloud will give only thunder and lightning. It accepts it. So this is called surrender. No matter what happens, a devotee will not take to materialism, will not bend down means taking to materialism. It will always stick to the lotus feet of Krishna in all circumstances. And that's how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prays in the Shikshashtaka. He's ending like the Ashlishyava Padaratam Pinashtumam Adarshanam Marmhatam Karotuva Yatha Tathava Vidadhatu Lampato Mat Prananathastu Seva Napara. No matter you make me broken hearted, you don't give me your darshan, you trample me under your feet, you will still be my pranapati. You don't show me mercy, still you will be my pranapati. That is your mercy. Similarly, a devotee may go through so many ups and downs in life, dealing with the mind, dealing with people. So many kleshas are there, adhyatmik, adhibhautik, adidaivik. Sometimes you will feel, oh, nothing is going right in my spiritual life. So much of mental distress, so much of anxiety. We should just hold on to Krishna, be exclusively surrendered to Krishna. Not waver. Undivided focus should be there in Krishna consciousness. Then Krishna will surely protect. We should have this strong faith. I have surrendered myself to Krishna. Who else is there? If Krishna will not protect me, if Krishna is not protecting me, who else can protect? It's only Krishna who can protect. Krishna Eka Sharana, exclusively surrendered to Krishna. So these are the few things. So chastity, we should be chaste to Krishna, and then Krishna will take care of us completely. So we'll end here. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanand.